Now we're talking to Ruth Lunnon, who works on the information and support team for Headway Ireland. And we're also talking to Jason, who is a person with a brain injury, an acquired brain injury. First thing to say, you're very, very welcome to Disability Matters.
Thank you very much, John. Yeah, glad to be here.
Thank you, John.
I'll start with you, Ruth, if you don't mind. You might tell us a bit about the history of Headway Ireland.
Thanks, John. Yeah, so Headway was founded back in 1985, so that's 40 years ago this year. And originally it was founded by people who were survivors of brain injury and their family members, and also some professionals who were supporting them. So it was really just founded as a support group, and gradually over the years it's built up into becoming a service provider, working with people who've had an acquired brain injury and also their family members.
It's crazy that we speak to thousands every year, and every one of them was started by a parent or a family member.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah, it's very much interesting point, I suppose, and really coming from those with the lived experience and knowing what they needed and what they, I suppose, maybe weren't getting at the time, and kind of what they needed, the types of services and the type of support, meeting other people that they needed to work forward with their disability that they've acquired.
Would you mind telling us a few statistics, if you know them, about brain injury? How many people have it? How many people are projected to have it? And a bit about the gender split. I'm always interested in that.
Yeah, so I think we don't have kind of loads of empirical data for Ireland, but I think a broad estimate would be something like 100,000 people living with the effects of acquired brain injury in Ireland. So obviously when somebody has a brain injury, and I should explain, I guess, what a brain injury is as well. So you can get one from having a stroke, from having a head injury, maybe from having brain surgery or a serious illness, those types of events. And it's something that happens during somebody's lifetime. Yeah, so we reckon there's probably about 100,000 people between the different types of brain injury, and obviously some people do have a brain injury and they go on to make a full recovery. So it's really more those people who are living with the effects, where they've acquired a disability and it's affecting their life and they need to make lots of readjustments and find new ways of living. And yeah, the gender split, there tends to be more men than women overall would have an acquired brain injury, and that would be both in relation to stroke and traumatic brain injuries as well.
Would you say it's much more?
I think if I'm right, it'd be somewhere around the kind of 60-40 split, right. So about 60% men, I think.
And what about treatment?
So treatment in Ireland, we have like the National Neurosurgery Centre here in Beaumont. There's also a National Trauma Centre in the Mater. In the Mater. And in Cork, there's also a major treatment centre there. And then in terms of rehab, you have the National Rehabilitation Hospital would probably be the main inpatient. And then there's kind of a lot of services like ourselves once people maybe get home and they're looking to access services in the community and rebuild their lives in terms of getting back to work maybe, or getting back to social activities, getting back to leisure, that type of stuff. So there's probably we could really do with a lot more rehabilitation in Ireland, like all people with disabilities around who have neurological disabilities. So there's a great need to have more, but there are some moves now in terms of the neurorehabilitation strategy to bring more services out into the community, and that is beginning to happen, which is really, really positive thing, I think, for people.
Good. And what about the amount of people with stroke? Because you also help people with stroke, don't you? Yeah,
that's right. So they would be included in those overall figures, but I think it's somewhere in the region of 10 to 11,000 people a year would suffer from a stroke. And then obviously some people would have disability from having had their stroke.
So you have all these people with brain injuries and they have people with stroke. What services do you provide to them?
Yeah, so I'm part of the information support team. So we would tend to be the first point of contact for people. They can ring us in on our helpline. They can email us, and we also have live chat on our website. So we would get people with brain injury ringing themselves. We get professionals. We get family members, and we are like, I suppose, the gateway into Headway. We explain kind of what we do and how to contact us, how to get a referral in. Excuse me then. And then I suppose we have a wide range of services once people, if they want to come into face-to-face services. We have, services like psychology, counselling. We have rehabilitative training, so that can be for people who are looking maybe to go back towards work, build up confidence in that area and skills. And then we have a lot of peer support where people can just meet other people, get a huge amount of support from that. And then we've lots of other activities like day services for people who might need a little bit of a higher level of support. And then one-to-one services, so in the community, helping people to get out and about into the community, maybe accessing their local gym, accessing their, local community centre, courses that might be, as we call, mainstream courses, but, non-specific courses, and just generally supporting people in their goals and helping them to refine their goals as to what they're looking for to get on with their lives. And also, we do also provide support for family members as well, because we very much recognise when a brain injury happens, it doesn't just happen to that one person, it happens to the whole family. So we do have a family member support group in our Blackhall Green Service Centre in Dublin, and counselling as well for family members if they want to avail of that.
The family piece is equally important, isn't it? Because brain injury and stroke are a whole of family problem, or
challenge, shall we say?
Challenge,
like a life-changing, very much a life-changing challenge. And unlike, I suppose, disabilities where somebody might have it from birth, brain injury is something that happens in a moment in time, usually for somebody very often when they're an adult. So they have their entire lived experience of who they were, shall we say, before they had the brain injury, and then there's a huge amount of readjustment then to living after the brain injury, and that could involve physical disability, psychological impacts, sensory changes, so you could have changes in your vision or your hearing or how you perceive the world, and then mood and emotion, and then speech and language can be very much affected as well, concentration, memory. So there's many disabilities that people can have, and many people have multiples of those, and a lot of them are what we would call hidden disabilities, so they can be very subtle, so there's a lot for people going on in terms of the support they need, and ways to kind of cope and find a new way forward for themselves.
Do you know how many members you have?
A good question.
Pick a figure.
You pick a figure, yeah. I think we work with, I think now if I have this right, somewhere between 500 and 600 people a year, and then some of those would be on a rolling basis, and then we'd be taking new people in. We could have up to 30 or 40 new referrals in a month, so it can get really, really busy, and we do have waiting time, so that's the only thing, but the helpline is always there for people if they do want to get in contact anyway.
And do you have a waiting list?
We do have a waiting list, we do indeed, unfortunately. So the waiting list, anywhere between kind of 7 and 9 months at the moment for people to get in. But we always encourage people to get in contact anyway and get themselves, onto the waiting list. And as I say, the information support service is available for people while they be waiting to come in. And we provide a listening service, and also we have lots of really good information resources that we can get out to people, and they're also up on the website as well.
Very good. Jason, I'm going to come to you now. Wake you up, sorry.
No problem.
You might tell us a bit about yourself and what your life was like before your brain injury.
I suppose my name is Jason, and family man, 3 children, working away and no problem. And then one night in February 2021, went out for a walk, and an incident happened anyway and left me with traumatic brain injury. But before that, I would have been in IT as a product manager. So a fairly high-level job, a lot of what I know now, kind of executive skills, kind of thinking on the fly, planning, strategic management, that kind of thing. So, that would have been me.
And was that after then you had your brain injury, was that stopped?
Yes.
Big time?
Big time. I didn't realise it at the time, though. So, in the details of it, I know more now about brain injuries than I ever wanted to know. So temporal lobe frontal lobe, all these kind of things. But I had no idea what they meant, to be honest with you. Never had a brain injury before.
But through your brain injury, you've learned all this.
I have.
You have to educate yourself with any condition, I believe.
You're right, yeah, and that's one thing I felt has helped me, knowing more about it. But I'd have to say Headway were a key part of that, but initially, I was unconscious in hospital for a month. I suppose I was lucky, as they say, managed conservatively. I didn't have to have an operation. Went home, and you said family's quite important, and they're essential. But they were looking at me as well, going, we don't know anything about brain injury. We don't know what to be looking at. So, that would have been it. And I think just to kind of jump ahead, I suppose my first kind of realisation something's not right here would have been what I called kind of glitching.
Right.
So there would have been, and that's probably my computer background as well.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
So I kind of going, okay, what's going on here? Something funny. Now, I would kind of say at this point though that it wasn't like I had a brain injury, the accident happened, and that was it. But Beaumont Hospital were excellent. Working with them, and they said, okay, maybe, they referred me to the NRH, and they were great. But also in Beaumont, they referred me to Headway. There was somebody in from Headway, and the senior nurse there was able to say, look, talk to them. Again, didn't know anything about it. But the person I was talking to in Headway at the time, they do produce great information, and it gave me a little bit of an inkling what to expect. But still, I was an unguided person.
So tell me, you came home.
Yeah.
What challenges had you got, and how did you get through them?
Well, initially, to be fair, I'm probably like a lot of people. I have no memory of the accident and no memory of being at home. It was just like home. You have to remember that was 2001, so COVID was still around.
Oh, right. Yeah.
So I would have missed a lot of probably supports that people would go into, maybe automatically or straight away. But, so like they would have been the biggest thing for me looking back. Yeah. But at the time, wasn't quite sure. I knew something was wrong, but to the extent of it, didn't know then.
Okay.
That would have been it.
How has it changed your life?
Oh,
massively, I presume.
Massively now. Yeah, so it really has. So, like you said earlier, John, you learn a lot more as you go back, and now I can point to them specifically. And the thing I've learned is executive dysfunction, so which would have been very important in my previous role in work and that. So planning, strategic management, communication, all those kind of things. Now I did work with. I knew something was wrong. Got a referral into Headway. First thing we did, one of the services was compassion focused therapy. So that was really helping you kind of going, okay, Jason, there's nothing, you're okay. Like if you're starting to see problems, be gentle on yourself. Like work with them. So that was fine. So I felt well enough in myself to go back to work. Went back too early. NRH, Headway, they all said, you're going back way too early. Yeah. But, you think brain injury, like a broken leg.
Yeah.
Let's get back
That's
up and running.
Let's go.
yeah, exactly. Let's go. And that is the time when it really, the enormity of what a brain injury is hit me. And all of those things. For the first time in my career, I think I'd been called out as, you're not performing here as well as we thought, Jason. So that was a huge emotional thing. And I was looking back now, I actually did get in touch with Ruth again and said, hey Ruth, I'd been in touch with Headway before, any chance you'll take me back? But I had been working with the NRH and they had recommended, that's one thing about all these services, they all overlap, they all talk to each other, and they know what's coming down.
Which is fantastic.
Yeah. So second time around, I was able to go to Headway and say, help me with this. What is a brain injury? But more importantly, what I've learned now is everybody's brain injury is different. If you think of it like on a spectrum, some people are more affected, some people are less affected. And even it's unfair to say that because everything is to your person. So my experience is people might look at me and say, "You look fine, Jason. Like, what's the problem here?" But internally, I'm going, "No, it's not working out here." But Headway do help you with all that.
Brilliant, isn't it?
It is. I feel very lucky with the people I met in there, and it is a very structured service. So what I've learned is, like, what I have is, it's very invisible, and it is a disability. It is, you're different. It's very invisible and people don't see it, but you come to Headway, they do see it and they do help you through it. And as I said earlier, they give you a huge volume of information, but they involved my family as well. My wife was able to come in, they gave her a little bit of, knowledge of what to expect. And I've been lucky in that sense. Ruth talks about waiting lists. I wouldn't say there was a huge waiting list. For me, it came at the right time.
There is now, though.
There is now. It sounds like a lot. But, I've been involved back in the NRH, and I've explained to them, the kind of supports that are out there to other people like me. And even I've heard from them, and it's been good.
Brilliant. And where are you now?
Where am I now? I've realised a lot of different things. I'm not sure. I know I'll never get back to the job I was doing, which some people say, like, you're the perfect job. It was for me. It was my ideal job. I'll never get back to that. Which again is where the NRH and Headway came in with the compassion focused. They're saying, this is okay, I think.
But it is.
It is, yes, it is. I'm still learning. That's the thing. It may have happened 4.5 years ago or a little bit over that, but I'm still learning. And I would encourage anybody to keep learning about the disability. So we're back to, we were saying, where am I? I'm out of work. I want to do something. I believe I can bring value to an employer. I'm just, still going through it.
Right. Good man.
Yeah.
You're a success story almost.
Well, I'd like to think I'm a success story already. I'm here, I'm talking, I'm fine. I know now the problems I face. Fatigue, memory, different things. My poor suffering family have to put up with me on different things. But again, I'll keep coming back to, I would say to people, lean into the supports you have. Like, if you lean into Headway, and they helped me recognise, this is an invisible disability. They make it more visible to me, more visible to my family, and that's good because they bring you along and they kind of help you. The caseworkers I have dealt with in there, they've come up with a goal and a plan, and now I can follow that plan.
Right.
It's a little bit up and down, but Headway I've been dealing with Headway now, 3 years, and they've just been a guiding hand in the background. A lot of it is promoting independence. You have to make these decisions yourself, but they're a safety net, so they're good.
That's fantastic. I'm really delighted for you.
Yeah,
if
thanks,
I go
John.
back to Ruth now, you might tell us a bit. Part of all of the two conditions, there's a bit about psychology and mental health involved, isn't there?
Yeah, there is. And I suppose, as Jason was describing there, there's a huge amount of adjustment for people when, you've been going along, trucking along in your life, nice and handy, and then a very dramatic event happens. And very often, like if you have a stroke or a head injury or some other event like that, you don't have any memory of it, but it's a good few months maybe down the road before you begin to come back to yourself and you're kind of beginning to have a realisation, maybe, for example, that you won't go back driving. Now, Jason, I think you're very lucky, you are back driving, which is brilliant, but a lot of people maybe aren't able to do that, or the beginning of the realisation that you might not go back to your former role, whether that's being a homemaker or working outside the home. So I suppose that's where the psychology supports would be so important, to have the opportunity maybe to do talk therapy with a counsellor, do some work with a psychologist, equally, talking through feelings and, helping to form maybe kind of goals and plans around what you want to do, what you're able to do, because that would be a huge thing that we'd focus on, and obviously people with brain injury want to focus on not just the disability, but the abilities that they've preserved and that the strengths that the people have and can work on. So I think the psychological adjustment is terribly important, and it's probably less kind of emphasised when you're going through hospital and rehabilitation, because there's a huge emphasis on the physical recovery, because a lot of people have been very close to death when they've had this event. So there's a massive relief for everybody that they've come through on the physical side of things and the sensory side, but there's maybe less emphasis on what's going to be needed for the psychological recovery. So we would put a lot of emphasis on that, and we have quite a number of staff dealing with that. And then obviously I think the peer support, I think, would be another aspect where people really do find kind of that speaking to other people who they know are going through a lot of what they're going through, and they don't nearly have to explain themselves to each other. And I think you were mentioning that as well, Jason, that that's really, really supportive when you have that opportunity to come in and meet other people and just give that bit of peer support and get that peer support. So all of that can really help with the psychological side of things as well, and for family members as well, very much.
When you say family members are so important in all this, what about people who live alone, don't have a family?
Don't have family members, yeah, absolutely. So a lot of people coming into Headway are or would be in that situation. So we would very much obviously work with them around what they need to remain independent at home, and work with the HSE and the community to support them as much as possible around with whatever, maybe it might be like a home care package where they have PAs and assistants coming in to support them. And then, quite a lot of our clients would access maybe other services like Acquired Brain Injury Ireland or the rehab group or Irish Wheelchair Association. So it's all around, I suppose, having that good communication with other agencies, obviously with the person themselves, what their needs and wishes and desires are, and what supports can be put in place, and what part we can play as Headway to support them to be as independent as possible in the community.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
Is there a charge for any of your services?
No, so we are very much funded through the HSE. They would be our main funders, and we do, obviously some people are brilliant, they do fundraisers for us, and they help to pay for kind of extra services like that we would have. For instance, music therapy would be one area that we wouldn't be within our core funding, but it is something that we can do when we have a bit of extra money. So yeah, we're very much funded through the HSE, and they would be the core funders for us.
Very good.
Yeah.
Now we're right at the end of our time.
Okay.
Just give you one last opportunity to throw anything that you want to say out there. Okay,
well, just in terms of contacting us, we have a free phone number. It's open during office hours, and that's 1800 400 478, 1800 400 478, and that's free from all networks. We're also on info@headway.ie, and we're on live chat at headway.ie, and you'll get lots of information, resources, and people's stories up there on the website. So I'd encourage anyone, even if it's a very long time since you had your head injury or your stroke or your other way that you got the acquired brain injury, I'd encourage you to be in touch with us, even if you have some questions or you're not sure. And indeed, if you're a family member or a friend of somebody and you want to get more information, do get in touch with us, and we'd be happy to help you and answer any questions you might have.
Brilliant. Ruth, Jason, thanks for speaking to us at Disability Matters.
Thanks so much, John. Lovely to be here.
So
Thank you.
Good for coming on.
Thank you.